This is From the Cradle to the Stave. Music Moms Speak.
Mothers of 3 musicians join forces together to create this podcast.
They see the music industry and music life from a previously unheard point of view. Our mothers truly see and feel the good, the bad, and sometimes the ugly of the music world.
They share their experiences with you one episode at a time.
So here it is, From the Cradle to the Stave. Music Moms Speak.
Hello, and welcome to From the Cradle to the Stave, Music Mothers Speak. We're glad to have you with us. I am Pat French, mother of Simone French.
I'm Juanita Smith, mother of Eric Erdman.
Hey, y'all, and I'm Dottie Armour, mother of Laurie Ann Armour. Our children are local singer-songwriters here on the Gulf Coast.
And we're going to bring you a perspective of the music world from our point of view.
Okie dokie. Who wants to start?
Well, our topic for today is Jimmy Lumpkin.
Yay.
We just saw a show with him last night.
Yeah,
and we really enjoyed it.
It was
What a
great.
coincidence.
It was great.
Okay.
Jimmy has a band. They call him Jimmy Lumpkin and the Revival. But he was not playing with the Revival last night. He had other helpers. And those include his wife, Talia, on percussions and the tambourine. And his dear friend, Hollis Salou, who played the mandolin. And also occasionally Molly Thomas, who played the violin. So it made for a beautiful show.
Now, was that a violin or a fiddle?
Well, it's a violin is the name of the instrument, but when you play it in country music, it's often called a fiddle. But it's the same instrument.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Juanita, for that lesson. I never knew that.
You know you did. I'm so
And let me tell
embarrassed.
you. Well, let me tell you what I learned. Laurie Ann, at one time wanted to learn how to play the fiddle. Mm-hmm. And Mr. Bryson, who is
I know him well.
Yes, who recently passed away.
Mm-hmm. They called him the Fiddle Man.
Yes, the fiddle man. She actually went to Mr. Bryson for lessons and introduction. And you buy a violin and you lower the bridge, and that's what makes it a fiddle.
Really?
That's what I learned from Mr. Bryson. Okay. So you're right, it is the same instrument. They're just a little
tweaked, a
little
different.
tweak.
Well, oddly enough, both my boys, their first instrument was a violin.
Really?
They took violin lessons, and they played in Mobile Student Symphony.
How cool. Now, does Eric still play?
He hasn't in a while, but I believe he could pick it up and play it if he wanted to.
I don't know that Laurie Ann could. You know, some people have aptitudes for certain instruments, and I don't believe the violin was in her top 10.
Well, they also play keyboard. They could come home and transfer what they learned about the violin up to our piano.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, I tell you, when we listened to that violin or the fiddle last night, the music was so beautiful. It actually made me cry. It just touched my soul. Mm-hmm. It really and truly did. Mm-hmm. It was just a beautiful sound. And I don't think I'll ever hear it the same way again. Just the experience of being in the room and watching the artist play. It was just, it was really an experience, guys.
It's like you hear people say, you had to be there. And I understand that so much more as I see all the shows, because I can just sort of feel it down in my soul when they play certain things. And that's the way I expressed it, exactly like you just did in my writing of my blog today.
And I haven't read it yet.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
So we're in tune.
Y'all are like 2 peas in a pod.
That's us.
It is so cool. Well, I was trying to think, how would I describe Jimmy's music? I mean, he's an amazing writer. The lyrics to his stuff was so cool, but I couldn't decide if it wasn't really country, and it wasn't really Southern rock, and not really folksy, kind of blues. I couldn't fit him in a category. I mean, I would likely put him in either folk or Americana. Okay.
myself.
Yeah.
And occasionally on certain songs, to me, he kind of skirted along the side of a little bit of bluegrass when the mandolin kicked in.
Yeah, I noticed that too. It was a really neat mix. That's the kind of music I kind of lean to anyway.
Okay.
So yeah, it just the instruments and the lyrics and the music. It was all. I really enjoyed it.
They always people always want to put you in a box when you're a musician. They always say, "What genre are you?"
Right.
And then you try to explain. Well, it's sort of a broad, gray area. It's not just black and white.
Yeah.
But most people want to put you in a box.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
I think it's best when it's a gray area, because you can blend.
Yeah.
And you can reach different audiences
Exactly.
too. And it's unique. It's just a really unique sound.
Mm-hmm.
I met Jimmy and his wife Talia, and they both, I think, are wonderful people. And when I heard him sing the first time, I was like, I could really listen to this. And he sent us a CD, and so I listened to it. And my favorite song from it is "My Name Is Love." Mm-hmm. I can't sit still. It makes me want to move. It just, like Juanita said, it puts you in your happy place, And but the one word that comes to mind as I listen to his CD over and over again, and to me, I love his tone.
Yes.
And he, when he was talking, I love the stories that he tells. Whether it's about the instruments or the reason behind the song. But for me, the one word that my experience with listening to his music is very organic.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just
Earthy is what I call it.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, it's a great sound, and he's definitely a gifted musician.
Yeah. And I was thinking grounded and, earthy. It's all, And all that, he's just so deep.
He really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that the way we perceive a song is so different. All three of us could actually listen to the same lyrics and gather something different in our mind from it. And I think it's based on your own personal experiences in life.
Exactly.
But the line in My Name Is Love that says, "We need forgiveness, we need trust, less of you and more of us." I think that, to me, what I actually wrote there is, if those lines mean less rudeness, less hate, more kindness, and more love, then amen to that.
Yes, I agree. Yeah.
I enjoyed the first song we actually sat down to hear. He pulled out the Native American flute, and that was so cool. The story behind how he got it and learning to play, and it was really cool. And I enjoy that kind of. I have CDs that have the flute music and stuff for background when I'm studying or whatever.
That's cool.
Well, see, I missed the story of the flute. I knew that he had one, but I thought it was because we came in just a little bit late. But then I realized just now when you actually heard the story, I knew it was I had gone to get our coffee.
That's right.
So I missed the story of the flute. And since I am Native American, it was very important to me that I wanted to hear more about it. And I meant to ask them and tell him that I missed it. But you hate to say, hey, I missed the beginning of your show. Would you tell me?
You could blame it on traffic. We had to come across the Bayway.
Yes.
I don't think he would have minded.
No.
It's a great conversation opener anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I noticed that he wore a harmonica harness around his neck the entire show, which is really unusual. And he kept it at the ready. That harmonica was there. And it worked in perfect on some of his songs. That's why I wanted to call it a bit folksy, because the harmonica sort of fits in with that. But he didn't necessarily use it on every song.
Right.
And the mandolin player, oh my goodness, I was fascinated with him, Hollis Slew.
Yeah.
I've never seen a mandolin like that, and I have sisters-in-law that played the mandolin. I've been around them for quite a while, but this one looked really. I looked it up, all the different. I couldn't find that exact mandolin on the internet, but I found the dobro because it made me think of a dobro, and it looks a lot more like a miniature dobro to me than a mandolin, but it certainly sounds like a wonderful one. It has a great tone, and he's really, really good at the mandolin.
Yeah.
I spoke to his wife for a good time after the show, and that was very interesting. She wanted to tell me all about the instrument.
He's been playing. Has he been playing a long time?
Yes.
Okay. I enjoyed it.
And another thing I liked about Jimmy was he liked to tell the stories behind the songs. He wasn't one of those, and this is a song about when I went fishing and sank my boat. I mean, he would do paragraphs.
And they were interesting paragraphs.
Yes, exactly. I like a little depth to the story, and he would get you really involved in the story before he would get into the song, which is really nice.
I enjoyed that too. I think something to me that stands out and that's unique is his look.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, as a matter of fact, when I first saw him, do you know who I thought about? You may not agree. I thought about Kid Rock. And then I pulled up a picture today of Kid Rock, and they did look similar. Both had the same length hair and that hat on their head. And I said, and they have the same stature.
I'll have to check that out. That didn't cross my mind. Arlo Guthrie came to my mind.
Yes,
because of the hat.
Wow. Well, he just looks like someone I would see in the hills of Kentucky.
I'm with you. Yes.
Yeah. My husband is from Kentucky.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's
so
a great
cool.
state.
I mean, it was just.
Now, what part of Kentucky is he from?
He's from Louisville.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And just looking at Jimmy, and then the visual, and once you see him, you'll understand what we're talking about. Just that look, that image, I think is great, but his music is even greater.
Mm-hmm.
I was even looking at some of his song titles, which I found fascinating, like Kings and Queens and Consulting Monks.
Yes.
Who thought of that?
Hilarious.
Traveling gypsies. That's what gypsies are. They travel. Who ever heard of a stationary gypsy? I said, I got to hear this song now.
You were thinking out loud. I laughed when you said that. Traveling gypsy.
That's what a gypsy does.
But it was a great song.
It was. And I think my favorite song out of all of them was what you had just mentioned, was Kings and Queens. I don't know what it was about that song.
It was beautiful.
But it was really, it touched me. And of course, Happy Birds at the end.
Well, for me, on Kings and Queens is a great song, and I didn't feel like I had the ability to completely decipher exactly what the message was from that, to be honest. I mean, some of the lines were, it started off with, "We love to have our kings and queens. Don't let your words be poison. And don't you ever bend a knee." And then near the end it said, "You still seem to think that we are free. We still seem to think we are free." And he repeats that line again and then says, "When a hungry bear chases us up a tree, we still seem to think we are free." and perhaps as a political, message. And I think, just trying to rack my brain exactly what the message was. And we may all have a different idea of what that message was.
And he said he was apolitical, so he wasn't going to take sides. But yes, I just liked the message in that one.
The lyrics are intense, and there's a lot to ponder about them.
A lot of his lyrics are that way.
Well, I personally really enjoyed the show. I appreciate his talent. His wife was so soft-spoken and kind. I really enjoyed talking with her.
Very gentle.
Mm-hmm. Talia Lumpkin. Mm-hmm. Remember that name.
Yes.
She's also musical and talented.
Yes.
Talking about the look of Jimmy, and he looks like he should be in the backwoods of Kentucky. The fact that he lives in a log cabin. I mean,
and with the cracks between, you could see through it.
I was not surprised at all to hear that. Just his laid back attitude and demeanor when he says he lives in a log cabin. I was like, okay, it fits.
Right.
Yes,
right. Well, I have an invitation to visit he and his wife, so I'll let you guys know for sure.
Yeah, look for those cracks.
Oh, do they still live in the log cabin? I didn't get that part, but I guess so,
I think that's where they're living now.
Oh, okay.
So
I'm excited about he and Simone working together in the future. He did mention that he wanted to work with her, and they have had a couple of meetings. So I'm looking forward to that sound together.
Yeah.
and the things that she can learn from him musically should be pretty interesting. But because when I heard him the first time, I'd heard about him on the local music scene, and I had not listened to his music, but I was familiar with, I think, some of the guys that might have been in the band. And I was like, I wonder what kind of music he sings. But when I actually heard the CD, to me, he does have sort of a soulful voice on some of the songs. And I thought that was really unique, and I think that's what I was drawn to check out the whole CD. And I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm glad I did. So, yeah, he's become definitely a musician that I will follow, and will definitely purchase his CDs.
And Fox likes him too.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Yes, my grandson is too. And that is the only CD that he thinks we should ever listen to from 6 in the morning until 24 hours later. He wants to hear Jimmy. And he falls out if you try to take it off and put on another CD.
Oh, wow.
But he dances. Oh, my gosh, he loves it. Like early in the morning. This is what peps him up.
Oh, wow.
To me, if you can resonate with a young child and an older person, you've covered the whole 9 yards, and that's really what music should be. It should be appealing to everybody. And Jim Lumpkin, I understand, recently signed with a record label called Skate Mountain Records.
That's right.
And so that's exciting, and I believe he's really moving up in the music world.
And I thought it was kind of cool with his band. It's Jimmy Lumpkin and the Revival, and I feel like there's a revival of local musicians in Mobile. It just
Absolutely.
and it's really neat to see the talent that is coming up. I mean, I know Eric, he has been here and has nurtured a lot of it. I mean, I hold him responsible for a lot of this uprising. He encourages, because he encourages the new musicians and shares with them.
He does.
Yeah,
Well, I think we're very fortunate for the size town that we are to have this many wonderful, extremely talented musicians available. We're very, very lucky. You can go almost anywhere on any weeknight.
exactly.
Not just the weekend, and listen to great original music. There was a time people only wanted to hear Mustang Sally and Brick House or something.
Yeah, cover bands,
right?
And there's such a depth of talent that goes beyond cover bands. And there's nothing wrong with cover bands.
Right.
They have
They're
their
great.
own place.
Yes, exactly. It's just, to me, it's just very exciting to see this growth of the singer-songwriters. It really is.
Right.
Okay, Jimmy Lumpkin. You can find more information at jimmylumpkin.com. And he is also on Facebook. I believe it's JL and the Revival is the Facebook page for the music. And, of course, SoundCloud, iTunes. You can find his music just about anywhere.
Yes. And also, don't forget Page and Palette, where the bookseller is, where the show was, because they have similar situation to a listening room in that the audience is engaged and appreciative of the singer. That's what a listening room's all about.
Oh, I loved the bookseller. I had never been there before.
It was my first time too.
Yeah. And it's a smaller listening room environment.
Right.
But it was like, you felt like you were almost like family, the way the audience is. Everybody was so welcoming, and
They even had a crock pot of chicken and dumplings sitting there if you wanted some.
A very private show.
Right.
Yeah, it was. It really, truly was.
what I like about the bookseller or Page and Palette, I guess they're kind of ones within the other, is their monthly artist in residence, where they have one particular artist that is like the focus every Monday night of the month, which is Jimmy Lumpkin right now.
Right.
And they play from 5 to 7 in the bookseller. And I think it's really cool. There are other events that go on there also. But in this particular instance, talking about the music and the
and
venues.
if you ever have a doubt and you think you'd like to check them out, then you can go to their website and actually give them a call, which I have done from time to time, who's playing and when and that sort of thing. And that way you can make your plans. But I tell you, it's a good experience.
It is. It is.
There's a note that I would like to make as we were sitting here talking about the local music scene, and you know how we just go out as music moms and we get to enjoy it, you know, up close and personal. Mm-hmm. And what I want to encourage everyone to do that listens to our podcast is to support your local artist. Buy their music, buy their T-shirts, go to their shows. You know, that's how they support themselves. And you'll get so much from it because it will broaden your view of the different types of music that's available here on the Gulf Coast. And I'm speaking from experience because I've gotten to experience and hear and listen to a lot of different kinds of music that I didn't grow up listening to. But I'm just really happy, I guess, as we get older. You know, we get more mature and, you know, we kind of open ourselves up to learn different and new things. And I never would have thought a while back that I would have said, well, I like Americana music, or I like bluegrass, or I like country. But I tell you, I've heard some great music coming from the local music scene. And my husband and I get to go and we enjoy it. And I just want to encourage everyone that's listening to please support your local artist.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I agree.
Yeah, and like you say, the buying the CD or a T-shirt or hugger, what, you know, and when you listen, to be very appreciative and very attentive and not in conversation with your neighbors, because that gives them a boost of confidence, and a performer is going to perform as well as the feedback he's getting from the group.
Right. And when you see them, let them know, hey, I heard you at such and such. It was wonderful. And, you know, they really do appreciate that feedback, and they need that feedback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, an attentive artist, it really feeds their soul and lifts their spirits, and it kind of brings them up from maybe the show before they did, where it was loud and noisy and everybody screaming over them, you know.
Right.
So something like the Page and Palette bookseller or the Listening Room in Mobile, wonderful places for musicians.
Yes. And now it's time to move into Love It.
And tonight we're loving Lynn Olshoe.
Wonderful, wonderful lady for the music and arts in the Gulf Coast.
She is definitely someone to know. I can remember Simone in our first encounter with Lynn Olshoe was at a locals only music festival concert. And she comes up and she introduces herself, you know, straight off the bat. And, of course, I immediately think this lady may be someone we need to know in the future. But as Simone's relationship has grown with her and the Southern Rambler, I'm really grateful, you know, that she has networked with Lynn. Lynn is a very sweet person, very helpful.
Yes.
Yes. Her publication, The Southern Rambler, and the website, Lynn does her blog there, and she highlights the local area musicians and does her perspective is more of a down-home kind of thing rather than, I won't say raising them up, but she looks at them more on a personal level than a professional, if that makes any sense. More like a friend talking about a friend kind of thing.
Yeah, it's very good.
My first exposure to Lynn was when the steeple at St. Francis, the first concert they had there when they did the big grand opening, and I think she must have been very instrumental in
she
pulling,
was.
and
Yes.
pulling all that together. And that was an amazing show. And so the local talent that she had there and the appreciation of everyone for her there, you can tell that she's somebody who cares about promoting music and arts in Mobile and the Gulf Coast.
She's now done the second annual show there at the steeple, and all the profits go to someone in need.
Right. And wasn't she the one who organized the concert for the benches?
Yes, that first one that you're talking about, you went to, the
Yes.
money from that put benches at all the bus stops so that when people have to wait on the bus and they're weary and they're tired or whatever, they can actually have a nice place to sit.
I remember that.
That's
I remember
kind.
That. Yes.
Very
She has a big
kind.
heart.
And before that, she went and asked at the at different places, what is the need that there is? And one of them was people needed bus passes because it costs money when you have to ride the bus and maybe change buses on maybe 2 buses every morning and 2 buses every evening to get back. And she interviewed a lot of the people that ride the bus. She rode the buses herself, and she interviewed the people on the buses. And she found this one couple that wanted their child to go to a better daycare than the one in their neighborhood, a better K3, K4. And so they would take the bus with their child and then change to another bus to get across to where they wanted to be to make sure their child went to the best possible, learning environment that he could. And she was so impressed with them. And they had a video of them on this year's show at the steeple of that very couple.
Yeah.
And everywhere the bus stopped and they had those benches where she had they started a community garden. So there's a community garden where everybody contributes, and then everybody reaps the benefit of it once it ripens and all. So it was very fascinating.
It sounds like it, yeah.
How they're paying it forward,
Right.
And they were actually there at the show. And it was awesome to see them. It's wonderful.
I bet.
Thank you, Lynn.
Yes, thank you for everything you do for the music and the arts here at the Gulf Coast.
She does an annual show at Callahan's also. That
Rambling
benefit.
Night.
And
Yes.
the first one that she did that I remember was you could either pay a fee to get in, which would go toward the people at the shelter, or the price to get in could be a new blanket or a jacket.
See, that is just so cool.
And it was during the winter and also.
Yeah.
So she does wonderful things.
Awesome.
In addition to the Rambler, now she has something called Our Southern Souls. Look it up. The best stories. She interviews people all throughout the South. And then she has one called Faces, where she just takes random pictures of people, just their face. It's awesome to look at all those pictures of people and how they're different, how they're different yet all the same.
Yeah.
And I think there's something else she does. But I know she helped highlight the plight of the local homeless and try to do what she could to make life better for them. She's a very genuine, wonderful person.
Sounds like it. All right. Well, ladies, I think that wraps up our session this time. I want to thank everybody for listening today. If you have any questions or suggestions for topics, or you just want to say hello, you can find us on the web at fromthecradletothestave.com or by email, and that is Juanita or Pat or Dottie at fromthecradletothestave.com.
That's right. Don't hesitate to contact us. Thank you, everybody, for listening today.
Thank you.
Bye.